Yes, Chief Santiago Rodriguez, Santiago Rodriguez.
So thank you, first of all, for sitting down with us. I know that you are crunched on time, so we'll get right into it. Multiple current and former officers, along with a Chandler police report, describe SWAT Hell Days here in Goodyear as a mock kidnapping where officers are handcuffed, hooded, subjected to loud music, oftentimes tased, and what's been described as waterboarding. Is that your understanding of Hell Day?
So we don't have anything here that is Hell Day. Now, it might be a term that's coined by some of the people that have attended the SWAT training day. It is one of the most rigorous testing that you'll probably find in any police department across the nation. And so we call it, it's part of our SWAT testing process. However, and I kind of forgot the first part of your sentence, it was so long, but if you want to repeat it, I'll try to answer some more. But
sure. So current and former officers described in a Chandler police report and confirmed to us that the day consisted of a mock kidnapping followed by handcuffing, hooding, being subjected to loud music, oftentimes what's been described as waterboarding, being shot with blanks, and tased.
So with that, Bianca, if I could, why don't I explain what the day looks like? Maybe that'll set a context
Sure.
of what it's like. And some of the things that I've been looking at as a fairly new chief to the department and going through some of the issues. However, I'll start off, first of all, there is no waterboarding going on anywhere in the police department in our training or in any of the things that we do here. Second of all, to start the process, it's a very rigorous process, like I had explained to you. What it begins like, let's say that you want to be a SWAT operator, if you want to be on the SWAT team, you would submit a memo of interest when there's a position available, which isn't all the time. It's not like we keep on adding SWAT members. It could go 2-3 years before we have a SWAT selection process, or it could be, you know, somebody retires off the team or somebody retires from the department and then we have a position that's open. So once that's opened up, we would ask for memos of interest. You would have to submit a memo. The SAU commander would then look at that memo of interest, and they would look at it to make sure that you fit all the criteria, you have enough time on, you have the, you know, the prerequisites that are needed to be part of that team. Then we go to the next we go to the next part of the testing, which is you must qualify out on the range in a qualification shoot, and you have to score X amount of points out of X amount of points. If you pass that, then you would go on to the next day, which is the day that is out there, the full day of testing. If you don't pass that test, then you're done through the process. However, after that, what we do is we meet with our candidates that are going through that process. We even meet with their significant others and their family if they would like to be there, so they understand what they're getting into. So a family meeting or day, as you could say. And then they're told to wait for a phone call, which simulates a call out, because call outs usually happen. We don't have a full-time SWAT team here. It's a part-time SWAT team, so it's an extra duty that you would do. You could be a patrol officer, you could be a detective, a traffic officer. It's an extra assignment because we don't have a full-time team. So the candidates are given that information. They're told that, hey, if you have any medical ailments, if you have anything, or if you need to get checked out by your medical provider or anything like that, that they can get checked out prior to. And then they have an opportunity. There's a couple of days that go by that they can ask questions or they can seek whatever they need. And then what happens is, where I think you're getting the term Hell Day, is it's a full day of SWAT testing that is very rigorous. And it starts that morning here at the police department. They get called out in the morning hours, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, as they would on a regular call out. They would respond here, and we have what's called SWAT medics, which are paramedics, firefighter paramedics that are out there in the community, and they do a complete assessment of those candidates as they're getting ready for their day, just to make sure that there's nothing that they're picking up on, and then to really be able to follow them the entire day to see, I saw them this morning, we went through this. As the day progresses, at any time one of those paramedics can say, hey, we need to stop, or we need to evaluate, or we need to do something. Once that happens, and you mentioned obviously previous officers, also the Chandler report and so forth. Once that happens, and I have removed it from the testing process, is the handcuffing, the hooding or blindfolds, as you were saying, and so forth. They go out to the range. They go through a calisthenics portion of time at the range. They get warmed up and so forth. They'll go for half-mile, mile run. I don't know what it is, but they do some physical running. And then they come back and they go through a series of scenarios that day that involve different team building scenarios. It could be officer down scenarios. It also encompasses an oral board throughout that day amongst that. So it's a very long, rigorous day. Hopefully that kind of paints a better picture of what the process is like. However, like I say, going back, I can tell you that there is no waterboarding here. It's a testing process that's very rigorous. We are selecting the best of the best to protect not only our victims, our officers, but more so our community and our public out there. So they need to be trained, and they need to know that they can do that job.
So you dispute the waterboarding. I hear you on that. Are you saying that water is not involved at all during this testing day?
So water is involved, however, not waterboarding. The way water is used is to figure out fine dexterity of people. So we put them in some cold water, ice cold water, no longer than waist high, and they're given Legos to put together for them to once again understand what those elements are going to do to you. You never know where you're going to be at for how many hours and what type of environment when you're on the SWAT team.
And then the tasing and the shooting with blanks, does that happen as well?
So there is no tasing that happens. I think what you're referring to is shooting with blanks. It's hard to, obviously, without whoever or whatever, however you got your information. It's something that we called, which is simunition training, and we do use that when it comes to the scenarios. Once again, we need to make sure that we have the best people on the team, but so do our officers. We go through it. It's no different than, I guess if I had to compare it to something, would be a pepper ball gun that looks like and feels like our weapons that we would normally carry, if that makes, not a pepper ball gun, but a paintball gun is what I was trying to say. So they have proper helmet gear, they have neck gear, they have, they could have their ballistic vests on, they could have chest protectors, growing protectors, and so forth. So,
and then the kidnapping piece, is that part of it? I know you said that they start here at the station, but it was described in the report as kidnapping. Yeah, we're not kidnapping anybody. That's obviously a crime. But the reason that we would use the hoods before is for basically seeing if they're claustrophobic, is the sense. Because once again, you don't know as a SWAT operator where you might be, and you might be in a tunnel for hours on end, you might be stuck in between underneath a car, you could be a million places. So we've talked to a number of local and national experts about this. And I just want to read a couple of the descriptions that they gave. Some said it was hazing or worse. One was left speechless. Another called it idiotic, senseless, and had no place in law enforcement. How do you respond to that?
So what I respond to it is, once again, we're using scenario-based assessing training tools to assess the best and most professional people to be on our SWAT team, which deal with the worst of the worst in the community when it comes to having to save a victim, save officers, save the community, like I say, from those criminals out there. is what we do. So we do a complete assessment, like I say, starting from that memo of interest that comes in, them going out to the range, and then going through this day of training, which is very rigorous. However, those are the people that I need out there that are going to be saving those victims or saving other officers or the community at large.
But does it surprise you at all that other experts, some who work with other SWAT teams for other departments, would question these tactics?
You know, I can't speak for them or what they're questioning or what information they got when they made their decisions. However, I know there's a broad range of different testing that is done out there within the departments. I don't know, and I don't know if you have more information there to tell me where they're from or what their background is and so forth. However, what I do know is that, once again, our selection process is very rigorous. It involves training. It involves different things like physical agility and things to that nature to be able to select the best of the best to be out there to protect our community.
Do you plan on changing these tactics at all?
So I'm always reviewing things, and as a new chief also, as you can only imagine, is being the head of a police department that, you know, has both civilians and sworn people out there in the field. We're always looking at different ways and changing things. So I am always assessing it. I'm always looking at policies. I'm always looking at what national trends are, what's happening out in the community, how our community changes, and how our tactics need to change also to service that community. So yeah, I'm always looking to change things or to be able to improve on things.
Has anyone ever been injured during these hell days?
No.
Okay. And have you gone through it yourself?
No. I wasn't a SWAT operator. I haven't been through it at all.
We want to talk to you while we have you here a little bit about your department's policy regarding sexual harassment. According to city department policy, would it ever be appropriate for a lieutenant to have an undisclosed sexual relationship with a subordinate?
So I think we're getting into the investigation, either the criminal investigation from Chandler or the internal investigation, and due to it being in the appeals process right now, I feel that obviously that is something that I shouldn't answer at this time, not only for the integrity of the case or the investigation, but also the Officer Bill of Rights comes into play here, and we want to afford due process to everybody involved in the case.
Just speaking generally, though.
Yeah, I know that, you know, obviously you talked about a lieutenant and so forth, so I feel, like I say, once again, that's dipping into the appeals process, and I just don't feel comfortable or feel that it should be what I should be answering.
Okay, we'll go back to SWAT
All
then. Do you know how long, I don't want to call it Hell Day if that's not what you guys call it in the department, but do you know how long that day has been going on and how that started?
I don't know offhand exactly how long. But what I do know that it's been going on for quite a while. I would say maybe 12 years or so. Like I say, the members of the Special Assignments Unit on the SWAT side go through it. I know that they follow different conferences throughout the year. They obviously go to training themselves. They talk to other departments, and I'm sure they discuss different things that, you know, how do you train your guys, or how do you, select your guys, things like that. Is my thought process is that they come back, and then obviously we make a test that we feel is appropriate to pick that best person for that position.
Chief, we probably have about 2 minutes.
Because the policy isn't detailed clearly, the step-by-step of what happens during that day, is there a concern about liability?
No, I don't have a concern in reference to it not being detailed, because once again, there's an integrity to that test, and we do use that test, and it's one of the things that we don't just want to put out there either, because we're assessing that person from the moment that they turn in their memo to go out to the range to they go to their SWAT testing training day, or I'm sorry, selection process day. So they're continually being assessed, and I think it would be no different than providing the answers to the SAT test, right, or something to that nature. So we want to keep it in a sense that we want to assess them for who they are when they come out there that day instead of everybody knowing the answers or what to do.
Ultimately, you know, I think what everyone has the best interest in mind of would be the citizens of Goodyear. A couple of experts have raised the question of how does this training better protect or serve the citizens of Goodyear? How would you answer that?
So like anything else, the citizens of Goodyear are one of my top priorities. In fact, our mission statement starts with, in partnership with the community, right? The way it does that is that we're evaluating our candidates as they go through that testing process, through the rigorous testing process, in the sense that we're getting the best of the best to be out there when it really matters, in the sense of some emergency that's happening where we need a SWAT team to be out there. We need them to save the day, as so to say, which is in the best interest of the community. I'm sure you've been to many police scenes and things like that where you've seen the SWAT teams come in and do their job. It's very important that we have the best, most qualified candidates for that job.
I guess I would challenge that by asking how hooding someone, handcuffing them, going through this mock day full of scenarios with ice water, how that would serve them when they're responding to, you know, a real life situation in the city.
Well, and we can go back through the testing process, like I say, and once again, we use water, ice water in a shallow pool to test for dexterity, so our candidates know that, hey, they might be in the middle of winter in freezing rain out there for hours, and they have to remember, hey, my dexterity, they need something to reference back to, and so forth. And then the other scenario is, obviously they're putting Legos together there, but the other scenario obviously is the distraction, where it's a spray bottle of water that's distracting them, because there are going to be things that distract, you know, the officers when they're sitting out there for 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 hours in the elements.
I do just want to clarify before you head out, though. Did you tell Bianca that you guys are no longer doing the hooding and handcuffing? And will you address Bianca?
So yes, so I've assessed it, and it's been removed from the process, in the sense. Once again, it's one of the things that we assess and so forth.
And when was that decision made?
So with the criminal report that obviously Chandler did and so forth, like any chief that would get that, they would start looking into, you know, any of the issues and see how it pertains to what we're doing daily. But that was changed during that process for the next testing.
And that dexterity thing, would it surprise you at all for officers who have said they were dunked during that time and it felt like waterboarding? Similarly, being sprayed in the face with water can be described as waterboarding. Are you going to continue using those water practices? So
once again, going back to it, there is no waterboarding that's happening. And there's, I mean, you referenced to being dunked in water. There's no dunking of officers in water either during this testing.
If you've been there and never been through it, and we know that there's a pool of water and multiple officers have said they were dunked, would that surprise you if they were in fact dunked?
Yeah, that would surprise me, because that's not part of the scenarios that is there. Once again, it's for dexterity and putting the Lego together, and there's nothing higher than their waist as they're sitting in it. And then also for the distraction of a water bottle to distract them during their scenario as they're team building and going through the scenario.
Do you think there needs to be maybe more?
I'm sorry, he's got to be more 30 after or so.
All right.
We appreciate the time.
All right. Yeah,
Thanks, Chief.
not a problem. Yeah, I'm all caught up with it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sorry.